Sponsored by Midland, communication for every adventure. The industry leader in radio communication technology and innovation for over 50 years.
Always remember, the opinion you follow should be your own. Just consider the things stated here to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online.
Hi, my name is Phil from Waypoint Overland, and you're listening to Random Waypoints. All right, so here we go. Welcome to another episode of the Random Waypoints podcast. We'll be doing an episode every week, so like, share, and subscribe. You can hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss an episode. Later in the show, we'll be doing taste tests, answering readers' questions about refrigerators, and looking at gear options for communications. And we'll have our second installment of a new segment called Waypoints that deals with navigation and planning itineraries for the Overland traveler. Also, I'll share another one of my random lists, so stay tuned for the whole show. But first, let's look at the news.
During this segment, we'll cover various topics with a connection to overlanding in some way. It could be land use news regarding the national parks or the Bureau of Land Management. We'll keep you up to date on any auto industry news when it pertains to relevant and potential overlanding vehicles. There will be camping and outdoor industry news, as well as photography and video, fishing, hiking, and on and on. Now, here's the news.
All right, starting with Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Officials hope results of an autopsy on a backpacker whose body was being scavenged by a black bear will tell whether the man was killed by the bear. Necropsy on the bear found last September near the body determined it was a healthy 1-year-old, 231-pound animal. Patrick Madura, 43 of Elgin, Illinois, was on a multi-day backpack in the park that straddles the Tennessee-North Carolina border and had reserved a backcountry campsite for the night of September 8th. 3 days later, backpackers coming down the trail spotted a black bear scavenging his remains. Law enforcement rangers and wildlife officers reached the campsite shortly after midnight, confirmed the report of a deceased human male, and killed a bear seen scavenging on the remains. National Park spokesperson Dana Sohn said Monday in an email, "Until the autopsy comes back, it is unknown whether the bear was responsible for the death of the individual or if it was simply feeding on him after he died." Great Smoky is home to an estimated 1,500 bears, and very few bears exhibit aggressive behavior towards humans. However, out of an abundance of caution for the park's 11 million park visitors, park staff on rare occasions euthanize individual bears that pose a threat to visitor safety. So I hope everyone gets out and enjoys the outdoors, but please know where you are and be bear aware. Now for some local news here in Washington. I think it would be a challenge to find an overlander in the U.S. that hasn't heard of Recreational Equipment Incorporated, commonly known as REI Co-op, the specialty outdoor retailer. Last September, they announced that they sold their newly completed corporate campus in Bellevue, Washington, with plans to shift to a more distributed work model. Last week, the co-op announced that it has both identified the first of its future satellite offices in Issaquah, Washington, and will test a model that allows employees to work up to 5 days a week from home. REI's Executive Vice President of Technology and Operations in a REI press release stated, "We believe the future of work is much more fluid. We're building the future around the work that needs to get done and creating flexible, agile, and inclusive ways to deliver innovation for our customers. And we no longer believe we need a traditional office model to do so." The innovative satellite office building features in-building showers, bike racks, electric vehicle charging stations, and cross-laminated timber, a sustainable material that can replace both steel and concrete. The Issaquah Alps community, otherwise known as Trailhead City, is a destination for outdoor enthusiasts such as hikers, cyclists, and paragliders. I know a lot of us spend our money at REI, and I thought it was relevant what a business their size is doing ethically. Well, that's it for the news. Now it's time for Random List.
Random Lists is all about lists Waypoint Overland has created on an array of topics, such as top 5 national parks, top 10 trails in the United States, top 10 fill in the blank. I think you get it. Some lists will be pure fun, and others very informational. But they all will have a connection to overlanding in some way. We're very interested in hearing your suggestions for upcoming lists in the comments. Now, here's our random list.
All right, my random list this week is my top 5 known hangouts for Overlanders. This is a list that contains bars, breweries, and restaurants. At number 1, I have Moab Brewing in Moab, Utah. Walking in this place, there's no telling who you'll see. Off-road teams, film crews, your favorite YouTuber, truck brands, all taking a break. The parking lot is usually full of drool-worthy vehicles from Subarus to Unimogs. At number 2, I have the Hill Farmstead Brewery in Greensboro Bend, Vermont. This is a place recommended to me by Peter Vollers, the founder of Vermont Overland. He graciously invited me to attend his event during my trip a few years back. While there, he recommended Hill Farmstead Brewery as a great place and frequented by Overlanders during their journeys through Vermont. There's a few ways to get there, and one is partially by Class 4 roads, or you can hit the pavement, which is a nice drive as well. At number 3, I have Ouray Brewery in Ouray, Colorado. People come from all over the world to visit Ouray, Colorado to experience the world-class off-roading and hiking in the San Juan Mountains. But most Overlanders I know like to stop at the Ouray Brewery for great beers, great food, and you can sit on the rooftop to enjoy the view of Ouray's Main Street, which happens to be the $1 Million Highway. I like to have a cold beer and look at all the cool rigs parading by. Side note, Lake City to me and to many others is the new Ouray, Colorado, and the place to be is at Lake City Cafe. It hasn't reached a level of popularity yet to make this list, but worth mentioning. At number 4, I have Method Coffee in Prescott, Arizona. Method Coffee has what they call cruisers and coffee. Basically, it starts as a coffee meetup at the shop, but they actually round up everyone and they hit the trails of Arizona. None of the others on this list take you on trail rides, and the coffee is excellent. We'll be reviewing some of their coffee soon. At number 5, I have Pole Bridge Mercantile and Bakery in Pole Bridge, Montana. To get there, you drive along an unpaved road that follows the North Fork River, which hugs the western border of Glacier National Park. You'll encounter fellow travelers from all over the world and a line for grizzly paw-sized huckleberry bear claws. Pole Bridge Mercantile, in my opinion, is the best bakery, general store gift shop in Montana. Well, that's my list. Do you agree or do you disagree? Do you have your own list? Share in the comments. Now let's keep it rolling with communications. Even though I recommend having a Midland Micro Mobile GMRS radio in your rig, the truth is the radio that I use the most is actually a handheld two-way radio. I keep 4 with me. It makes things dead simple. You don't have a radio? I hand you one, and you just push the button to talk. I need a spot, but you need to stand out of earshot to direct me? I hand you a radio. You have kids, a spouse, or team member who wants to go for a hike? Hand them a radio. There's so many times I reach for them. The particular model I like is the X-Talker T71VP3 two-way radio. Now, the number one reason this is my choice is that I can charge it by USB. That's a big deal to me. I never worry about a dead battery because I have it plugged up when I'm traveling. It has ridiculous long battery life, up to 15 hours extensive range, loaded with extras and protected by Midland's 3-year warranty. It has a best case scenario range of 38 miles. It also has 36 channels and 121 privacy codes, channel scan, and Midland's signature NOAA weather alert and weather scan technology that we talked about last week. Also, being a license-free FRS radio adds to its versatility. In the box, you get a pair of radios, belt clips, rechargeable battery packs, desktop charger, an AC wall adapter, micro USB charging cable, and an owner's manual. You have everything you need in the box. It's great to have them even as a backup. Now, it's time for Waypoints.
Waypoints. Waypoints will cover all aspects of navigation for the overland traveler. Navigation is the act or practicing of navigating, the method of determining position, course, and distance traveled.
Last week, we took the first steps on creating a journey. We created a list of possible events to attend. We noted areas and regions with possible back roads and trails, took into account possible camping options, and loosely strung together routes to get an idea of how the trip could possibly go. This week, we choose an actual route, fill in our itinerary, and discuss keeping the ability to be spontaneous even with an itinerary. The route. We've chosen a southerly route to reach our Overland Expo East in Arrington, Virginia. Events we've decided on are the following: Overland Expo West in Flagstaff, Arizona, Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Overland Expo East in Arrington, Virginia, as you already know, and finally, Rendezvous in the Ozarks in Arkansas. There's enough time between events to take a leisurely route, and camping is a non-issue for the dates I'll be attending each event. Here's how camp reservations give me more freedom to be spontaneous. I know it might seem counterintuitive, but follow me. Let's look at the first event I plan to attend, Overland Expo West. I always make a formal reservation at a nearby campsite for the day before the event. Now I can do whatever I want, and if other plans don't work out, or I just get involved in something that leaves me no time to find a campsite, no matter what, I have my reservations to fall back on. I do this all across my route, and it averages out to an additional $200 a trip, but it's worth it to me. I'd hate to discover a beautiful place for a sunset, but I gotta go because I have to find camp. My plan is to use farmers markets to resupply as much as possible. The reason for this is farmers markets in the places I go usually are places I can park my rig and be able to visually see it while I shop. The other reason is I can get quality vegetables and meats usually, organic, very fresh, and cheaper than if I went to a grocery store. That's a win-win-win. Farmers markets that I have on my radar are the following: Moab Farmers Market in Moab, the Flagstaff Farmers Market in Flagstaff, Rail Yards Market in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Franklin County Farmers Market in Arkansas, and Bardstown Road Farmers Market in Louisville, Kentucky. In Nashville, Nashville Farmers Market, and Eastern's Market in Washington, D.C. In Marquette, Michigan, the Downtown Marcus Farmers Market. And finding smaller farmers markets along the way is never a problem. It's just a matter of stopping. So as is, I think we have a pretty good trip. We could stop here, but we have a long way to go. Next week, we get to the good part. The entire segment will be about finding trails, byways, and back roads on our trip. If there are any questions or insights you have about what we've discussed so far, please feel free to let us know down in the comments. Let's answer some questions I've received this week. A viewer asked, do I need a fridge to start overlanding? Well, for the impatient, the answer is no. You do not need a fridge to start overlanding. Now, I would make fun of this question, but I've heard too many people ask that question, and the responses are all over the place. Some agree with me and say no, and others say you're not even a real overlander till you get a fridge. Yeah, I really heard that. Well, this might be news to you, but some overlanders travel the world and have no way to keep food cold at all. They stick to dry goods, meals ready to eat, preserved and smoked meats, and fresh meats and vegetables every few days at farmers markets. But for most people to enjoy their journey, having some way to keep food cold for preservation is a must. A decent cooler can do just that, and for a lot less money. The cost isn't the only benefit to a cooler versus a fridge. Most overlanders, no matter what, pass through towns frequently enough that a cooler is all you need. You won't miss that fridge unless you plan weeks at a time somewhere off the grid. There's been many times we've discovered the perfect spot for fishing, a meal, or a cold beverage, but it necessitates leaving your vehicle and walking to the spot. It can be done, but I'm not disconnecting my fridge and hauling it out into the elements for that. But a cooler, that would be excellent. Being able to shop for fresh meats at a farmer's market and transport it safely back to a fridge could be useful. Now, don't confuse this for saying don't buy a fridge. I have one, love it, and wish I'd purchased one sooner. But I went years without one and had many memorable experiences with several different coolers. Getting out there and enjoying the journey should be the priority, not waiting until you've created the perfect dream rig. You have to get out there and do something to even know what your dream rig really is. If you go the cooler route, my recommendation is Yeti. Yeti, in my opinion, has set the standard for cooler tech, and because of that, there are now many quality competitors out there. I prefer Yeti because I know what I'm getting with every single product they make. It's going to be tough. It's going to look good. It'll have a warranty to back it up. Now, there's a lot of companies with warranties, but what's the process if something goes wrong? Yeti has great customer service to make that warranty actually worth something. And will that other brand even be around next year? I've seen them come and I've seen them go. So that's a crapshoot in my opinion. Well, now it's time for taste test.
Taste tests. Taste test is where we evaluate the taste of a food product, whether on its own or compared with other products. Some taste tests will be conducted blind, while others will focus on a particular brand or item.
Overlanders love gathering around a fire and partaking in their favorite beverages. So this week I decided we'll be tasting tequilas. And then we're going to sober up by tasting some coffee from a coffee shop popular with Overland travelers. First, we'll start with the tequila. All right, everybody, we're back. You're listening to Epidemic Sounds. Link in the description. It's where I get all my music from. All right, we're going to turn that down and concentrate on what we're here for. Now, very common amongst Overlanders who get together, they share a beverage, whether it be alcoholic or non-alcoholic. We're going to start with something alcoholic. And what we're going to try is tequila. We're going to try a very popular brand. And we're going to try one that I recommend. This is the popular brand. It's Patron. And then we have our recommendation, which is Cazadores. This is a Reposado, and this is an Añejo. I like both of them, but this is my favorite, and it's a third of the price. This will cost you ranging from $40 to $60 for the 750 milliliter. And for the same amount, you can get this You can usually catch it for about $25 to $30. I got this one for $26.99. Okay, so let's pour a little bit. I have shot glasses, but I left them at home. Big mistake. I'm not going all the way back home for those glasses. I have poured more than enough in each glass. I'd say we have about 2 shots in each glass. So, and before we get to drinking, we're gonna cut a little bit of lemon. I'm a big baby when it comes to alcohol, so I need the lemon ready to bite on to get that taste out of my mouth. And you guys can go ahead and make fun of me. I'll probably, in your opinion, overreact when I take these shots, but I will be taking the shots. And like I said, I hope you're drinking something too. And it doesn't have to be alcohol. Whatever you do, you do. All right? Now, before I did these 2 tequilas, I looked at YouTube people comparing different alcohols, specifically tequila, and they do it on like a whole nother level. They, they know what farms everything came from, and all the little details, and they basically will compare 2 tequilas that are equivalents or comparable. These are not considered comparable. However, even though this is the name everyone knows and people brag on, this. If you're a tequila lover, you like tequila, you like reposado tequilas, this is the one. This is people who drink tequila. This isn't the one they show off, but when they're at home and they just want a good shot, this is what they drink. Trust me. Okay, enough procrastinating. We're gonna start with the tequila, and I mean the Patron. And let me tell you the full name of it. It's Tequila de Agave Añejo. Okay, I know some people want the details, and so I'm trying to give you the details. Now, most people get the clear one. I can't think of the name of it. I think it's a Blanco, but most people get the one that's clear. I get the Añejo because of the barrels they use, and they let it sit longer. And when they let it sit longer, it gives it more like a signature flavor. So if I'm gonna get Patron, I get this one as opposed to the more popular one that you most often see. But when I get Patron, I generally get Patron to like kind of show off, to like ta-da. It's not a ta-da to me, but people seem to, if you bring it to the party or you bring it to the campfire or whatever, people are like, oh wow, Patron. So it doesn't have that impact for me, but it's one of those that has some kind of impact. Now, when I'm strictly buying tequilas that just I like, that I want to sip on, this is my one. But we're going to try both of them. And I like both of them. I wouldn't have it up here if I didn't. Now, the thing I like about this particular type of Patron, I enjoy smelling it. I don't like the smell of alcohol, specifically harder alcohols like a tequila, but this smells good. I can literally enjoy smelling it. So here we go. I'm gonna hold off for a second to get the taste. Now, I'm wincing up, but it's really smooth. And that's a signature thing about Patron. Whichever one you get, it's really smooth. If somebody doesn't drink tequila, I would say get them Patron because it's going to be real smooth. You don't want to start taking them in different directions with tequila. Let them start with that. That's like a basic flavor to me. I have nothing bad to say about tequila. I'm sorry, Patron. I just think it's overpriced. So what do you guys drink when you're at the campfire? I noticed some people are white liquor or light liquor, or they're dark liquor. You know, they either like whiskeys and rums and things like that, or they like gins and vodkas. My first choice for liquor is actually gin. I'm a gin and tonic. That's my drink, gin and tonic. Pretty much that's it, gin and tonic. And when I'm having beer, I usually like to have tequila. And when I'm just taking shots with a group of guys or a group of people or whatever, I prefer to take shots of tequila. Now, one thing I notice is people don't know what to serve with tequila. And from my research and just my taste buds, I say chocolates, nuts, pork. When I'm taking shots, I generally like chocolate. So what I did was I have these. They're called skinny dipped almonds, and they're just almonds with cocoa on them. That's it. So we're gonna have a few of those. They're delicious. Let me tell you a little something about them. They're rich in protein, and there's no like sugar alternatives or any of that type of stuff. So that you see it, and it's just cocoa on top of them. See that? And they're delicious. And I like the dark cocoa because it just like immediately removes the alcohol flavor of the tequila, but it doesn't do it to the point where you don't want to go back to sipping it. It actually kind of makes your mouth water a little bit and makes you want to go back and take another sip. Now, if someone brought this to my house and said, let's hit some shots, I'll be perfectly happy with that. But this is my everyday tequila right here. This is the one that I like. If you want to make me happy, if we're meeting up somewhere, if we're rendezvousing somewhere on the trail or something, bring me a bottle of this. We're gonna try that now, and we're gonna for this one, I have almond buttercups. Oh, by the way, people have asked me about this screen I'm touching. It's not just a screen. This is a recorder, and it's called a switcher too. So sometimes I'm hitting a button to switch to a different camera. I'm also, like right now, I'm looking at myself so I can monitor what I'm doing. But it's also, this is what's recording to show. So I meant to answer that. I just did. Anyway, we're going to try these almond buttercups. And when I say try, I like to be clear. I've had these before. I like them. me having alcohol, I wasn't going to try anything that I hadn't tried before and I didn't feel comfortable with, because didn't want to make any mistakes as far as, you know, getting sick or, you know, having a bad tummy or something like that. So that's the chocolate. And it has almond butter in it. It's like a decadent Reese's cup. Everything is more upscale about it. The chocolate is dark chocolate. The sugar has an elegant taste to it. Almond butter just tastes good, in my opinion. If you've never had almond butter, I highly suggest you try an almond butter. It's a great alternative to eating peanut butter, and I love peanut butter, but sometimes you just want something different, and I love almond butter. It goes good with honey, all types of preserves. You can just use it like peanut butter with just regular jelly, or you can eat it by itself. Highly recommend it. And I highly recommend these if you have a Whole Foods or an Amazon near your house. Woo! Whew. Now, again, this is 100% agave tequila. There's nothing about this tequila to say bad about it. The processes that they use, the barrels that they use, the flavor, which is most important to me. It's a good, safe flavor. It's a consistent flavor. I don't react to it in any kind of way other than the little, you know, that I do again with any kind of alcohol. I kind of have a reaction, but this of tequilas, this is the one I have the least reaction to. And that's not to say it's not as alcoholic potent as the Patron. It just goes down better for me. And that's what happens with me. You'll drink them and might not like either one, or you might say this one goes down easy. It's a chemical thing. It's a biological, physiological thing, and each person is his own. But just try this. Next time you're in the liquor store, try that. Get an opportunity, rewind and see my reaction when I drink this and my reaction when I drink this. I'm still reacting, but not like that. This doesn't have that bite like that. And another positive of it not having that bite, well, sometimes it's an advantage. By it not having that bite, you can replace it as a mixer for things you might have used a whiskey in. And because it's not going to have an overbearing flavor, it works. Whereas this one, you're going to know, oh, he switched out whiskey for tequila. It's too much of a signature taste to this, if that makes sense. And this one here, I can drink like maybe 3 or 4 shots, and then I have to be done. Excuse me. With this one, I can sip this all night, which might not be a good thing because they're both 80 proof, so I'm still getting drunk. And if just so you know, I have a cooler right here. So these are chilled. I was gonna show you the cooler, but I was like, I don't think they want to see the cooler. But anyway, they're chilled. You don't have to drink them chilled, but I prefer mine chilled. And this was already in the refrigerator. And so I put this one in the refrigerator too, so they both be cold. And then I put them in a cooler to bring here. Which kind of goes with what we were talking about earlier. Someone was saying, could you overland with a cooler? I have a bunch of coolers. Matter of fact, I was one of those hardcore overlanders in the beginning. You don't need a rooftop tent to be an overlander, and I don't need that. My ground tent is the best tent in the world, and I don't need a refrigerator and all of these things, but I'm beyond that now. I'm not trying to struggle out there. So a lot of things that I took for granted, I don't anymore. Ever since I got my rooftop tent, I can't imagine sleeping on the ground anymore. And I've got a really nice tent. I've got one of those Oz tents made out of canvas. A really nice tent. And I had a great time in that ground tent, but I can't move back to the ground anymore. Same thing with a fridge. I did really well. I have so many memories of traveling with a cooler, but that refrigerator, man, it allows me to cook some things that I never would have thought about cooking, or if I did cook them, I would have had to cook them like the first or second day or in the first week of a trip to make sure the food was safe and not spoiled. Some of my food choices I never would have considered when I was using a refrigerator. So you don't need a fridge. Don't make that your excuse not to get started hitting the road. But when you get an opportunity to get one, I highly recommend it. I even like putting my chocolates in the cooler so that they won't melt. The weather here this week has been really nice. We're in the upper 50s. Felt like the 60s today. So it looks like we are headed toward better weather, warm weather. I'd like to hear what you guys have in mind for the upcoming months as far as travel or getting out and doing anything. I'm about to start my season in about a month. This is going to be a great year for me. I have some big plans. I don't want to share them all yet because I'm fearful that this is a year where some of my plans might not go through because of how the world is right now. But if I can do just half the things that I have in my head planned to do this year, this is going to be a great year. Ooh. We're going to go right into our next item or food or taste test or whatever you want to call it. I talked about this particular coffee actually earlier in our podcast when I gave you my random list. I spoke about a coffee shop called Method Coffee. They're in Prescott, Arizona. And how I first heard about them was I was in Prescott, Arizona. I went to Summit Motor Company and to AT Overland to do some interviews. And I went there and the coffee was good. come to find out later, after the fact, that they are very into the Overland community and that they have something called cruisers and coffee. And what it is they show up. And first, it starts off as a coffee thing, so you could just come and have coffee and hang out and look at the cool rigs and go home. Or when they round up everybody, you can go with them and head out to some trails. And I'm late to the party. Come to find out, there's a lot of people who know about this, a lot of people who drink their coffee, who go on their trail rides. And they sent me some coffee, and we're going to try it. So I'm going to put it on pause. You know what? I want to finish my tequila first, so let me do that first. Like, I thought he said he didn't really like to drink, but he made sure to drink all that tequila. All right, so we'll be back in just a minute, and we're going to be trying some coffee from Method Coffee. All right. You know, coffee in the Pacific Northwest have become synonymous with each other. I myself am a coffee drinker, and to start a morning in the middle of nowhere with a hot cup of coffee is something I yearn for. Coffee is a brewed drink, prepared from roasted coffee beans, the seeds of berries from certain coffea species. When coffee berries turn from green to bright red in color, indicating ripeness, they're picked, processed, and dried. Dried coffee seeds are roasted to varying degrees depending on the desired flavor. We're going to taste test 2 coffees today from Method Coffee out of Prescott, Arizona. The coffees we're trying are Berka Gadina Estate G3 and Finca Palo Blanco. Berka Gadina Estate is in Ethiopia, and Finca Palo Blanca is from the region of Guatemala. Let's get started. All right, the first one that we're going to try is the Finca Palo Blanco. You know, matter of fact, I'm going to drip these 2 coffees real quick, and I'll be right back. All right, we're back. So we have both of our coffees made, and now we are going to test them. This is the Berka Gadina, and this is the Finca Palo Blanco. We're going to start off with this one. Okay, the Berka Gadina Estate, which is from Ethiopia, it has a very clean taste. And what I mean by clean is it has a very standard coffee taste. If I poured this for you and I didn't tell you that there was anything special about it, you just think it was good coffee. It's good coffee, but you would just think it's good coffee. On here it says that it has fruit dried in it, but I don't really taste a fruit as much as I taste, it has like a nutty flavor. But I like it. I chose to use very little cream and just a tab of sugar. I normally use flavored creams and a lot of sugar, but I wanted to make sure that I taste the coffees. This is a go. This is definitely a go. Now, something I know for a fact is if you're ever in Prescott, Arizona, and you go to Method Coffee, they got a coffee that you like. You're not gonna like every coffee at any shop that you go to. So if you don't like the two that I see, don't be dismayed. Go there, talk to a barista, and tell them what your tastes are, what the nuances of your flavor palette is, and I'm sure they can find a coffee for you. This would be a good everyday coffee. If you were taking something to the office, if there was something that you wanted to have in your kitchen that was your regular everyday coffee, if you wanted a regular coffee to have to carry with you on your overland travels, this is it. And if you're looking for some razzle dazzle, this is not it. But most people aren't looking for razzle dazzle. I could see myself sitting and drinking this. I would add a little chocolate to it. Not because it needs it, but I would do that to pretty much any coffee. But anyway, I would add a little chocolate to it, and I would enjoy sitting out in the rain, sipping on this coffee. This is an excellent coffee. It's good enough that I'm forgetting I got another coffee here to try. So let's go to this one, and then we might come back to that one. This is the Finca Palo Blanco, and it's from Guatemala. Fully washed, sun-dried. Let's see what's happening here. Okay. I can tell the difference between the two coffees, but it's not like a distinct difference. If you gave me one day and gave me the other another day, I might not know that you gave me a different coffee. But if I had one cup and then I had another cup right after, had them back to back, I would know that you gave me a different coffee. So there's definitely a difference. And the difference is the Blanco is not as a bold flavor to me as the Godina. The Blanco is more like what I was describing this one as. This has more of a standard, safe taste to it. This is a little more robust. But that's not to say this isn't a good coffee. They're both good coffees. And I take this back, what I said about this one. This would be my everyday coffee. And when I need a little more pep in my step, I could be wrong about the caffeine in it, but it feels like this one would give me a little more pep. If I woke up in the morning groggy and I needed some pep, this is the one that I think I would drink. It's not that much of a difference in flavor, but it feels like it's a little more oomph in this one. I'm trying to think of what I would recommend somebody to eat these two coffees with, because they're both in the same flavor range. So whatever I recommend for this one, I would recommend for this one. Chocolate, definitely. When I first took my first sip, I wanted to stop and go back and eat some of the chocolate that I had before, because I think it would go excellent with it. Chocolate almonds, Danish, cheese Danish would go real good with this. A regular donut, toast. Pretty much anything that you are used to drinking with coffee is going to work with this coffee, because they're not outrageous in flavor. It's a good standard flavor coffee. It's like it's a good value for your money. You're getting a good, consistent flavored coffee. That's what I have to say about them. So They come in beans. I had to grind them before I came here to make the coffee. And I have plenty left, and they'll be gone plenty fast because I do like them, so I will be using them. And I've had method coffees before. I can't tell you what I had. I've been to the actual shop, and I had coffee. I just don't remember what it was. It was good coffee. I guess it was probably their coffee of the day. So let me explain our taste test today. I chose tequila and I chose coffee because I was trying to not have food this week. We're not going away from food. I just didn't want to have food this week. I wanted to go in a different direction, and we'll be back to food soon enough. Another reason why I chose tequila and coffee is because no matter what I do, it has to be related to overlanding. And in my experiences in overlanding, when people get together, they sit around the campfire and they take shots of liquor or they're drinking coffee. That's pretty much it. That's a constant. And one of the things that they usually take shots of are tequila. And it seems like everybody drinks coffee. Every now and then somebody is a tea person. But for the most part, most people drink coffee. I even know people who don't normally drink coffee, but on their trips, they like to have coffee in the morning, which I understand because I love coffee in the morning. I'm not right until I have my coffee. So I'm looking forward to actually drinking these coffees once I get home, because I will prepare them how I normally drink them. Like I said, I made a point of not putting a lot of cream and sugar in them to taste the coffee, but I'm going to doctor them up the way that I normally do, which is I use French vanilla usually. That's my standard creamer that I use, is generally French vanilla. And my wife buys this organic raw sugar, and it dissolves slower, but once it dissolves, it has a nice flavor to it. And so I'm looking forward to just maybe sitting out on a rainy day and enjoying one of these coffees on one day and another one on another. We have plenty of rainy days, so I won't have to wait long. It might be raining outside right now. In the studio, I don't know what the weather's like. I don't know what's going on. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed yourself. And if I didn't tell you again, what we've been listening to is music from Epidemic Sound. And I left a link if you want to listen to the music. And once again, we're rambling. That wraps up another episode of the podcast. We'll see you next week. I hope you like, share, and subscribe. And with that, everyone stay safe, tread lightly, and hopefully I'll see you here or on a trail soon.
You have been listening to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.